Hey guys, before we get started on our show today, I do want to mention, I know we've been talking about it lately a lot, our partners over at Nitrogen Sports. Guys, don't forget to go to our website, click the banner for Nitrogen Sports right on top of the website, on top of everything. Click their logo, sign up for Nitrogen Sports, and you get to be in the free NFL Survivor Pool. And then not only do you get to be in the free Survivor Pool, but then you also get put in a secret pool just for our listeners and a few other people. So don't forget, go to our website, click the Nitrogen Sports banner. If you guys don't know and you already forgot maybe, Nitrogen Sports is the #1 Bitcoin betting website on the planet. You can basically go there, bet on anything you want from football, basketball, golf, MMA, whatever you want. You go there, you bet on stuff through Bitcoin, you get your stuff, you get your cash immediately, you can transfer it. I just did it actually just a couple of days ago. I went through the whole transfer process. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, those Survivor pools, which are free, guess what? A lot of the Survivor pools they have on there have guaranteed payouts. So
Yep.
you get a play for free, and then you get to win money. So, and plus, if you haven't done a Survivor pool, it is an absolute blast. And it's a completely different way to participate in football or really any type of sport that you can bet on. We're going to focus on football stuff here. But head over there. It's going to change the way you watch football on Sundays, and it makes it so much more entertaining. So, again, Nitrogen Sports. Head over to eatsleepfantasy.com. Click on the banner and start having fun. And I bet we do better than you guys do. So there's a little trash talk.
There you go.
Yeah. Eat, sleep, fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.
hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Eat, Sleep, Fantasy Football Podcast, also known as the Deep Sleepers, a fantasy football podcast. My name is Dale.
Fuck you, Dale! Fuck you!
Thanks for joining us. With me, former high school football coach in the Dallas area, Mr. John Chapman.
Johnny, I need to talk to you. You motorboating son of a bitch. You old sailor, you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the introduction, which was wonderful. I was going to say, and this is bad, we're the Snow White of fantasy football. Is that like a thing?
Why is that?
Is she the one that went to sleep?
Oh, yeah. No, it's Sleeping Beauty.
But didn't Snow White, she went to bed too, right?
Did she?
I'm behind on my...
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Snow White ate the apple, right? Snow White sleepy. We should not be doing this kind of research right on the pod. Yeah. Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, scene by scene comparison. I don't know. I guess
yes,
she did go to sleep at some point.
She did. Snow White went to sleep, correct?
She got poisoned. I don't know if that's really counting as going to sleep. I mean,
yes,
she
did. We are the Snow White. What? No, we're the Doors. Let's just be honest.
Yeah,
like we're that was rough, and I'm sorry that's how we're starting it off. But hey, this is going to be an awesome episode because we are going to go through some deep sleepers at every position with a bunch of information packed full, and we might even be able to talk about some of the games that are taking place for the second week of preseason. There's a lot of news out there. This is going to be a full episode, so really, really excited.
Yep, and special thank you to our producer for this episode, Michael Reese Jr. Follow him on Twitter at MagicMikeFF. He actually is a good tweeter, so make sure you follow him because he does have some good stuff. He is one of our newer contributors for this year as well. He knows his stuff, and he produced this episode, so we thank him for his hard work here.
Yeah, way to go, Mike. Awesome Twitter handle, too, at MagicMikeFF. Kind of turns me on a little bit.
A little bit. Immediately, you just think of what's his name?
Channing Tatum.
Yeah, grinding.
More like Channing Tate. Yum.
Good actor.
He's not bad. He's not bad. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. And, man, as the preseason keeps going on, some of these players are getting more and more value. And at the top of the list, I love you, Magic Mike, because he says Matt Breida, and I could not agree with him anymore. He is the RB46. He's going around pick number 123 in drafts, so 10th round. And this guy, here's the deal with the 49ers. Wherever Kyle Shanahan goes, the running backs are very, very efficient, and they put out top-notch fantasy numbers. Now, he fell very, very far in average draft position because there were so many running backs there. Not anymore. One of the guys that was going to be a key contributor probably going to land on IR with Jerick McKinnon. And Matt Breida is just one of those guys that he is going to be very, very valuable at some point in the season.
Yep. Since the Jerick McKinnon news, and I think we talked about this a little earlier, Matt Breida's ADP basically risen?
Rosed?
Oh, God, I'm an idiot. I don't know what the difference is. It went up, or I guess it went down. He was drafting around 13, the beginning of the 13th round, and now he's drafting around the 11th round, the beginning of the 11th. So
I have him as my RB 34 right now, but here's the issue with Matt Breida. It's going to be him and Tevin Coleman, and it's going to be a little bit of a committee with those two guys, but they're going to do a hot-handed approach. And Tevin Coleman starting over Matt Breida, that's a little bit of a fallacy. It's going to be a 50-50 split. So,
okay, if it's 50-50 split, who is the higher fantasy producer here then?
Right now, Tevin Coleman, I think, is the safer bet just because he's been in the Kyle Shanahan system actually longer than Matt Breida has. But both of those guys, they're both going to return fantasy value. I really do believe that.
Okay. Yeah, he's being picked around the RB46, so you can't go wrong. You're drafting a potential pretty strong flex, at least, right?
Right. And the thing is, and this is why I like Matt Breida so much more, is Tevin Coleman's going in the beginning of the 5th round. You basically get the identical player, but who's a little bit better receiver 5 rounds later. So this is one of the players that I am targeting absolutely everywhere. I love Matt Breida just because he's so much cheaper and he has the exact same upside.
I'm just kind of speculating here, playing hypothetical. Matt Breida, say he starts performing at RB 30 level, right? And so you already got a good discount on him. You're feeling good. The stock is up. You made some money off of him. Say by week 5 or 6, Jerick McKinnon news starts surfacing again. He's off of IR, and then he might come back. Is this a potential? I know this is way down the line, but are you drafting him as a potential sell high by week 4, 5, or 6?
No. I don't think so, because
McKinnon done. I guess that's my question.
So let's get football nerdy here for a second. He was on the PUP list, the reserve PUP, which has different preseason rules. Now, if you take a player off of the PUP, you cannot put him on the regular season PUP, which minimize it to just 6 games missed. So hold
on. I'm going to derail you just for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
So back from the first season, probably the first couple episodes. Christian, myself, and actually one of the original hosts, Richard, I think he came up with this. But when somebody comes off the pup list, the list that they get on is a full-grown dog list. Just FYI.
That's the most Dale thing ever.
So he's not off the pup. He's actually on the full-grown dog list.
He is on the full-grown dog list. Now, the problem with that is, even though he never even got a practice, he just went through some warm-ups before his knee acted up. Jerick McKinnon we're talking about here. He can't go back on that, even for the regular season. So he is either active on the 53-man roster or IR, which the soonest he could come back is 8 games. So that is going to happen. So he had a platelet-rich plasma injection, which is fun to say. So that's, 2 to 3 weeks before he can even jog. So they're going to try to get him out there, but it's not looking good.
Right.
So,
all right. Next up right here is a tight end that I've liked for a long time, and I 100% agree here with Austin Hooper being taken as around a tight end 11. He finished as a tight end 6 last year. What are your thoughts on Austin Hooper coming in?
Yeah, I definitely see him picking up exactly where he left off. I have him as my tight end number 8. I have him ahead of people like David Njoku, Vance McDonald, Delaney Walker, Trey Burton. I just think that the volume in that offense is going to be bananas. It's what it is. And their new offensive coordinator, who was their old offensive coordinator, Dirk Cutter, he loves the tight end. Look what he did last few years in Tampa Bay with, O.J. Howard recently, but even Cameron Brate.
Cameron Brate, yeah.
Now he's getting a better athlete than Cameron Brate and a more prolific offense with a better quarterback. So I really, really like this play. He's one of the safest picks, and you can get him so stinking late. That's a thing that's wonderful. I mean, he's going around, again, very similar, 10th, 11th round. So if you wait on tight end and you can still get Austin Hooper, yeah, big fan.
Yeah. And do you think that given that Atlanta invested in some of their offensive line this offseason, that this helps out? I mean, this kind of seems like an obvious question because the fact that they invested in an offensive line frees up Austin Hooper to do a little bit more work. Is that the right assumption here?
It should. However, their offensive line, I know it's a preseason, but Matt Ryan got sacked 4 times in the second preseason game, which is not what you want to see from your offensive line, especially after you go out and draft 2 very high offensive linemen. But he should be able to move around a little bit more. So we'll see what happens.
That's a problem. I mean, if you draft high offensive linemen, what do you think is going to happen? You're just eating Cheetos on the sideline the whole time.
Dale joke number 2, everybody. Dale joke number 2. I like it.
All right. Next guy, why don't you lead this one off?
Josh Gordon, speaking of high, I skipped around a little bit, but I want to talk about Josh Gordon.
Sure.
He is reinstated, which is absolutely awesome. Don't get me wrong. I'm very, very happy for this guy. I love his story. He's quite interesting. He is still going very, very late. Wide receiver 61 and pick number 174. Now, this guy is going to be the number 1 player for the wide receiver core. I do think that his fantasy value will surpass that of Julian Edelman. I really, really like what he brought to that team. Now, the fact that he even has experience with Tom Brady in that system is even more exciting. So I am all in. I'm all in on the Josh Gordon, whatever you want to call it. Just since the news has come out, obviously his ADP has jumped up. He was going in the 14th round. He is up to the 11th round as we speak now. It's not going to stop there. Whenever it's all said and done, my guess is he'll be a 7th round pick. But if you are drafting now, you can still get him at a huge discount because he's going to have some huge blow-up games, and you'll be able to, sell high, which is an appropriate thing here. But, I like Josh Gordon a lot.
Yeah, I think where he's going now, I mean, you mentioned jumped up to around the 11th round. I guess that's okay. I'm not reaching for him, and I'm definitely not drafting him as higher than Julian Edelman.
No.
It's okay.
No, you don't want to draft him as high as Julian Edelman. However, I do think that his fantasy output is going to be, I think he'll score more points throughout the year. Now, there's more risk because who knows what happens with him. But I'm telling you right now, he is going to return value right off the bat.
Interesting. Okay. I'm not going to risk anything sooner than a 10th round pick on him.
So you're already out at his current ADP?
I would maybe take a chance in the 11th round, probably.
So, all right, let's play this game. So you
look.
think James Washington is going to have more fantasy points? N'Keal Harry's going in the 10th round. Who's going to have more fantasy points? N'Keal Harry or...
Harry's value dropped big time, hasn't it? I mean, what's his ADP right now? I'm sure it's dropped over the last
10. He's going in the 10th round at the end of the 10th round.
Okay, that's going to drop a little bit, and Josh Gordon, like you said, will rise a little bit.
Golden Tate.
So,
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I mean, okay, those aren't really high. I mean, okay, James Washington, I think I would rather take a shot at James Washington than Josh Gordon. Is that crazy?
A little bit. I like James Washington, though. He had a hell of a game today.
Yeah. Did he?
He did. He just looks the part, man.
There you go.
But all right.
Next guy, Jamison Crowder here. I think we talked a little bit about him maybe a couple episodes ago, but he is a sleeper. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the entire Jets offense, including Lev Bell. I think you agree with me on Lev Bell, don't you? You have him ranked pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
So Jamison Crowder currently going as a wide receiver 67. I am a little bit... I'm not sure if I'm totally sold on Jamison Crowder just because I'm a firm believer in Quincy Enunwa being something still.
Yeah, I don't understand that. They paid him to come in and fulfill that role. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of 2 wide receiver sets where it's going to be, Robbie Anderson and Jamison Crowder. They're going to have a tight end out there. And I think the dude's got a ball, and they paid top dollar for him. I mean, this guy's making $17 million against the cap this year. So
right.
He's going to be playing.
Right.
So we'll see what happens.
Okay.
I like him.
I think, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm drafting him ahead of Quincy Enunwa I'm not saying I'm drafting Quincy Enunwa ahead of him by any means, but I just I think Quincy Enunwa can still be something, and that just means Jamison Crowder won't be the home run that maybe some are thinking.
All right. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
I'm cool with that.
Okay. Next pick, there is another tight end here that is getting a lot of buzz. I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter on Mark Andrews, the Baltimore Raven tight end.
He's a beast, man. Mark, it's interesting because, if you go to the NFL draft with what they did 2 years ago, the Ravens, they took Hayden Hurst, the tight end out of South Carolina in the first round. Then they waited till the third round, took Mark Andrews out of Oklahoma. Now, the difference between these two were Hayden Hurst is a hell of a blocker. Mark Andrews was an unwilling blocker, and there are documented reports out at OU he wanted to be a wide receiver, he didn't want to block, whatever else. Well, having said all those things, he has turned on his blocking energy. I ain't gonna lie, and that means he's going to be on the field a lot. He is probably going to lead the team in targets from out of the wide receivers and tight ends. And I get that Lamar Jackson and his accuracy isn't great, but any number one target on a team that you can get, holy freaking cow, especially if it's a tight end. This guy has incredible upside. He's one of the guys, not that I think he'll finish in the top 3 tight ends, but I wouldn't be shocked. He has that kind of athleticism. He has that kind of hands. He's very dynamic, and I think his target volume is just going to be bananas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the trend of drafting Andrews went from a 14th round pick to an early 13th. So if that means anything to you, just looking at the trends here, I do think that there's something to be said. And I think some people are realizing that, he can catch balls. I mean, I've seen, if you go on Twitter, you look around at some highlights of him in camp, you might become a believer as well. And going as a tight end 15,
jeez,
more than likely you're not going to be drafting 2 tight ends anyways. But if you're going to really punt the position, Mark Andrews might be a pretty good option here.
I'm with you there.
Okay. Duke Johnson, John.
Man,
this is an interesting one here. I mean, this total, and this is kind of like my word today, but total hypothetical thing here.
The problem is
nobody knows.
You don't know, and the value might be over. His ADP was in the middle of the 14th round. He's now going right in the 10th round. So he's jumped up 4 rounds since the trade has happened. So is he more valuable than he was with the Browns? Hell yes, he is. That is a great offense. Browns offense is great too, but there's just one guy ahead of him now instead of 2 guys ahead of him. And man, Lamar Miller, this is another thing. Nick Chubb, they kept out there for a lot of snaps late in the season. They don't do that down in Houston. So I like him a lot. However, you're going to have to realize he's probably not going to pay off for you until after week 4. I think that it's going to be the Lamar Miller show early. I really believe that. And he's going to be an okay kind of flex option early. But you're talking about a possible RB2 with upside later on, because he is amazing out of the backfield catching the ball. And that's something that they just haven't really had.
Yeah. Okay, now let me tell you this. Just looking at ADP, you have Matt Breida and Duke Johnson basically going side by side here.
Matt Breida, not close.
If you're in the 10th round, late 10th, Breida.
Yep.
Would you take Peyton Barber over Duke Johnson?
No.
Okay.
No. I believe in talent. I love the opportunity that Peyton Barber has, but I just don't think that he has the talent. I think he was the only person with over 250 touches to not amass 1,000 total yards, like in the past decade or something like that. And they did not help their offensive line. So,
okay, all right, let's move on.
Boom, boom, boom. Move it on. Move it on. Move it on.
What is that?
I was just feeling it, man. I'm so excited. I've watched football.
Did you just make up a song?
I did. That's how I felt. My wife made steak and potatoes today, so I feel like I'm doing pretty good in life. Nice. Yeah.
My wife doesn't make steak.
My wife doesn't cook very often, but today was a good day.
Can we make a podcast where we just complain about our wives, but that there is no way they can hear?
That's how fantasy football got invented.
All right.
I will say this, though. It is pretty great whenever, like, my wife's like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, babe, I'm working. I'm just watching football. Like, yeah. This is work for me now, babe. Do you understand? Like,
that worked for me in 2016. 2017, she stopped believing me so much. 2018, she got really mad, and now she's just over it. I think she gave up, so now I'm back at it.
Nice. All right.
Yeah, there you just wear them down.
That's right.
The secret to marriage.
Lowered expectations. I believe in that.
For anybody just married, keep at it and wear them out.
Speaking of, we're going to be in Vegas next weekend.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We are. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We are going to be in Vegas for the National Draft Day. We're co-hosting a few events in Las Vegas on Friday and Saturday. Make sure you guys go to Draft Party USA. If you're going to be anywhere near Vegas and you want to draft, we're going to be there co-hosting, maybe giving some stuff away. So if anybody has any interest in anything Vegas, really, Draft Party USA will hook you up. Not only do they do draft parties, but they'll kind of show you around Vegas too. So Draft Party USA, don't forget about them because good partners of ours too. So
yeah, and we're going to be drinking a lot. So come have a drink with us because it's going to be a good time.
And we will not release too many stories on the podcast because I'm not going to incriminate myself.
But, I will incriminate myself. I don't mind.
Yeah, no thanks.
Not other people.
All right, cool. So Michael Gallup here.
Man, Michael Gallup, we talked about Duke Johnson and believing in the talent. I love this kid's talent. I hate this kid's opportunity. I hate the Dallas offense. They want to focus a lot on, Amari Cooper, and rightfully so. But his talent is so much better than his situation. So he's an easy player to root for coming out of Colorado State. He was absolutely unbelievable. But he's going very late. So you're talking pick 161, wide receiver 56, And what are you going to do? What's his upside? It's a little bit lower. So this isn't the swing for the fences pick that I love. However, I do think that he will drastically outperform his draft position. It's just his ceiling is so low. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask you this question. You know, without Zeke there, the defense not playing the run as much, right? Will this have an impact on Amari Cooper or Gallup here?
It hurts. It hurts them. Yeah,
Both
Zeke,
of them, right?
Zeke helps everything because that offense, even if they change the way that it's run, and so if they trot out, Tony Pollard or whatever else, they can't change their playbook and their scheme just because Zeke's not there. They have one of the biggest offensive lines, and it's just built that way. Play action will still work, don't get me wrong, but having the extra defender in the box helps all wide receivers.
Sure. So this is something to monitor as draft day comes along. The only reason I asked that is to kind of just show that when it's draft day, be up to speed on the news, because whether there's Zeke or no Zeke will put the stock up or down on Gallup and Amari Cooper.
Yep.
Don't forget too, I mean, I don't know if recent podcasts we talked about this in the news section, but Amari Cooper has a little dampered with some foot problems. So
yeah, but he's in a contract year. I love that they're letting him just play out this contract year, so he's gonna be just fine. I really do believe that. I think Zeke comes back too, so they're gonna have a lot to play for this year. I think they're gonna do well.
Yeah. Today there was a photo release of Zeke on a plane going to DFW.
Yeah.
If that means anything, but I mean, he lives there, so it's like he's going home. I didn't think that was a big deal.
Yeah.
But anyways. All right. Let's do you want to talk about Michael Gallup at all anymore? Or
no, I like the pick. I really do. It's not a pick that I'm going to make.
Sure.
So
okay.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Now we talked about Zeke. Melvin Gordon, he has his own situation, and I do not feel as confident with Melvin Gordon's situation as I do with Zeke's.
No, that's a big one.
This is scary enough for me not to touch Melvin Gordon at all.
He is dropping like crazy. Like, he's going in the third and fourth rounds of drafts. So, man, I'll take that pick. I'll take him. In the fourth round, I'm taking Melvin Gordon. But
in the third round, I mean, listen, you're the guys you'll be picking. And are you going to pick Josh Jacobs after Melvin Gordon? I mean, are you picking Melvin Gordon before Josh Jacobs? I'm not.
Yeah, I think I take Josh Jacobs right now. Gosh.
Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
I'm taking Derrick Henry.
And here's the thing, too, and maybe this makes me an asshole, but I don't believe Melvin Gordon's that talented. I think that he is perfect for that system.
You're not alone there. No.
But if let's say they just say, fine, screw it, we're going to move on without him, and we trade him to the Dolphins, or I don't know, just throwing a team out there. Right. His value is not going to be held as a first round pick. No. If you put him on half the teams in the NFL, he's a third round pick at best. I believe that. He is dependent on volume, and he's a perfect fit for that offense.
He is, absolutely. I agree.
So now the other two guys, which is interesting, Justin Jackson and Eckler, their ADPs have shot up dramatically. If we look at Justin Jackson, who is the guy that I would probably prefer to own, he was going in the middle of the 14th. Now he's up to the start of the 12th. I think that he's going to continue to climb as well. But here's the difference between Justin Jackson and Austin Eckler. And we've talked about this before on the pod, but I want to say it again. If Melvin Gordon does sign and come back, Justin Jackson is droppable. But if Melvin Gordon does come back, Austin Eckler is still a flex play. So
sure.
I don't think that this really changes Eckler's role very much. It makes him a little bit more valuable because his volume will go up, but he's not going to be the workhorse back.
Yeah. Are you having troubles here, buddy?
Always. I tried to say value and volume at the same time.
Yeah,
and I tried to change from present to past tense, and then my head exploded.
Yeah. there cannot be two bumbling idiots on the same show. So
why not? Why not?
Step it up, man. All right. Yeah, no, I agree with you on Justin Jackson. Now, I mean, Melvin Gordon, look, I just want to point this out again. Melvin Gordon, if he is there in the 5th round, you're picking him, right? You're picking him above Philip Lindsay and Tevin Coleman, James White, those guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about it in the 3rd. I'm doing it in the 4th. The 5th, I'm like jumping jacks.
Yeah. I mean, Derrick Henry in the early 4th. I think I'm taking Derrick Henry first, and then it starts getting a little cloudy from there. So, guys, don't think about it until you at least hit the 4th round for Melvin Gordon. And newsflash, Melvin Gordon's going to be drafted before then, so you're probably not going to get him.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You're not going to lose your league because you didn't get Melvin Gordon. Now watch him by the time this comes out. News is he signs
and I'll say this too. Like here's the difference with players like Melvin Gordon, because if he doesn't sign, he's not in your lineup, right? So I don't mind players where there's no guessing game. Like, you're just going to keep him on your bench until he signs somewhere and comes back somewhere, which he will eventually throughout the season. I don't think he's going to do the full-on Le'Veon, but it's different whenever, like, you have somebody that just kind of sucks and should I put him in or not. Like, the guessing game is over with, and plan accordingly. So if you do draft Melvin Gordon in the 4th, get Justin Jackson. Like, that guarantees you that spot, and you're going to be just fine either way.
Yep. Justin Jackson, again, going RB57. Now, if he is a deep sleeper, should Jackson, when would you start drafting him? I mean, right now he's early 11th round.
I would take him before that. I have him assuming, okay, let's just assume that Melvin Gordon's gone. I have Justin Jackson ranked 39th. So, as the 39th running back.
Gordon's not there.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So I would have him ahead of people like Duke Johnson, Ronald Jones, Miles Sanders. I have him ahead of those players. Now, if Melvin Gordon signs, I'm dropping him probably 50 running back spots alone.
Okay.
So
yeah, I agree. All right, the next wide receiver. Now, this is, I think I'm kind of digging in a little too deep here, and I know obviously you do for this guy. But even for me, the 49ers wide receiver situation is so weird because there's so many, there's so much talent, like mid-level talent on this offense. And it scares me. Okay, so we're talking about the running backs. We're not sure Breida, Tevin Coleman, right? Then we go to the wide receivers. Obviously, we know George Kittle. That's, he's going to be on the top. But you have Deebo Samuel. We're not really sure about Jalen Hurd or Trent Taylor. What do we do? There's so many question marks here. I know you're going to rank them. I know you probably already have it in your head. Oh, and don't forget about Pettis as well.
Right.
So there's just so many question marks that there has to be one guy, that probably the last guy on your list that you're going to say is probably the best value. Am I onto something?
Yeah. Jalen Hurd has got to be the guy there, not Deebo. I get that Deebo was drafted in the 2nd round. Jalen Hurd was drafted in the 3rd round. But you have to look at the position depth chart and the way that it matches up. I really believe Jalen Hurd is going to be the starter week 1 at that slot position, which Trent Taylor probably would have been the starter, but he had a Jones fracture in his foot, so he is probably not going to be out there week 1 or 2. And Jalen Hurd is the future. I really do believe this kid is unbelievable. You go back, and when he was a running back at Tennessee, he was absolutely bananas. Then he transitions to wide receiver at Baylor, was unbelievable there, and I hate Baylor more than anything. And he scored 2 touchdowns in his very first game. The kid is special. Special. I like Deebo a lot. However, he has only taken snaps at the Z position, which is one of the outside wide receivers opposite of Dante Pettis. And Marquise Goodwin is going to be the starter at that Z spot. the 49ers just finished up back-to-back joint practices with the Broncos, and the Broncos beat reporters all came out and said the MVP of the last 2 days is Marquise Goodwin. He had the most catches, most targets. So that's the thing. So clearest path to starting in a Jimmy Garoppolo-led Kyle Shanahan offense, it's got to be Jalen Hurd, who's going undrafted. He's free right now. So Deebo Samuel is going towards the end of drafts in the 14th round. But again, Jalen Hurd is free. You can get him in the last pick of your draft, and you're talking about a guy that can score touchdowns, and they're talking about using him in short down yardage as well as a running back. So this guy, Jalen Hurd, is the play. I do like Deebo Samuel. He probably won't pay off till much later in the year, but I think Jalen Hurd could be something special.
Mm-hmm.
So
cool. I like it. I mean, I never paid attention to the 49ers so much. Probably in the past 10 years, I haven't really cared, to be honest with you. But this is interesting, and I'm really interested to see how this all plays out.
It's different for sure.
Realistic. I mean, would you be surprised? Would you be surprised if Deebo Samuel is the number one wide receiver there at the end of the year?
No, I wouldn't. He is.
So
he's great. He's great.
Yeah, so that's the weird thing about it. It's okay, I don't know. It's just it's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out. What makes me think that you got to be really active. Watch when one of these guys emerge and jump on them as soon as you can. Play the waiver wire pretty safely, and maybe you're going to get a diamond in the rough if none of these guys.
I'll add on this, a reason why we talk about the 49ers maybe more than we should is that offense is freaking awesome. They were 15th in passing yards, 11th in rushing yards last year, and they were playing with third stringers. They were on the third quarterback. Offensive line completely banged up, down to their fourth running back. I mean, both starting wide receivers. That was just pieced together. That was Kyle Shanahan doing Kyle Shanahan crazy things. Now, healthy and talent back, I have these guys projected as the number 8 overall offense. And I think they could actually do better as far as yards go. So it's a very high volume offense.
Yep.
So.
Cool. All right. One of the last guys here. Again, these are deep sleepers. These aren't guys that we're telling you to go and, they're going to blow up. These are guys that you need to worry about late in your drafts. And, when you're not sure who to pick in, one of your last rounds or, late in the draft, 10, 11th, 12th rounds, these are guys that, if you're going to take a stab at them, maybe take a look at these guys. Last running back, we already talked a little bit about Zeke. Tony Pollard. Can any running back step in and be successful here?
Yes, any running back can. If you remember Alfred Morris, who they just signed, looked great and was on pace for over 1,000 yards whenever Zeke got suspended the first time. But here's the thing. Somebody else is going to be getting touches there, and it seems like it's going to be Tony Pollard no matter what. So let's operate under the presupposition Zeke is coming back, which I think that he will. Tony Pollard is going to get playing time. They're playing right now as we speak. He had a great touchdown run during the game. But this is a guy who they went out and they targeted him. And, after they draft him, he's fit and played very, very well. And they are treating him like he is the starter of this team moving forward. I don't think that he will be, but he is a guy that's going to return value even if Zeke comes back at his current ADP. And worst case scenario or best case scenario is this guy's going to be an RB top 10 running back if Zeke doesn't come back or gets suspended or does something stupid. So
sure. Who's a more important handcuff? And again, I'm not really sure if. Well, they will. Who's a more important handcuff here? Tony Pollard or Justice Hill?
Tony Pollard. That's the best offensive line, or one of the best offensive lines of football.
And Justice Hill's looked pretty good.
I like him a lot.
He's almost pushing Mark Ingram's value down a little bit with a little bit of hype and flashes this preseason.
And
so.
Another difference is there's more guys in Baltimore. So Gus Edwards took snaps ahead of him. Kenneth Dixon went into the preseason game ahead of him. I don't think that those guys are as good as Justice Hill, but there's much more of a competition there. Dallas likes to stick with the dude.
Right.
So, which is a weird statement to say, but
one guy I'm going to mention, and he's not on our sheet, John, and we've talked about him too. Deep sleeper, probably deeper than most of the guys we've talked about. Well, maybe even all the guys that we've talked about so far. Adam Humphries.
Gosh.
He's, talking about free. Super late wide receiver. He can catch the ball, and he's going to get targeted a lot.
Yep. He's going to the 14th round, and yeah, they just freaking throw the ball to him nonstop. There's two different people that I think are just so free right now, and they're both the cheap slot wide receivers, Adam Humphries and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley had 6 targets like in a drive and a half before the starters came off the field. And it's going to be safe for Adam Humphries as well. Not great quarterback play, and it's just they paid both of those guys a ridiculous amount of money to just come in and increase completion percentage and keep drives going. So, I like both those guys a lot.
Yeah. All right, before we get out of here, John, I do want to talk about, and I know if you guys listened to us last week, my perfect fantasy draft. We did a mock draft with Jimmy over there. It's one of the best fantasy draft online softwares that is out today. It's basically an online tool that will create a fully customized draft list in just minutes. Basically, you set your schedule, your point schedule, you figure out your player filters, and then as you draft, it assists you to draft the best team possible based off of injury and, with their trends. You can easily identify the best players at each round of your draft and get critical pieces of information, such as like contract years, consistency scores, all that stuff. And it's all on one place. It's really cool. If you guys are interested, go to My Perfect Fantasy Draft, which is at fantasyfootballmaverick.com. Use the promo code ESF and you get $3 off. So you save a couple bucks. I think the sale's ending pretty soon, so make sure you guys go to fantasyfootballmaverick.com, enter promo code ESF for $3 off, and check it out. It's actually a really cool software. Christian has been using it too, and just all around good information. So again, fantasyfootballmaverick.com.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, John, is there any news? I know we usually do news in the beginning, but do you have any news to round out this awesome podcast?
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about is Andrew Luck. A lot of people are out there just saying how bad his ankle is, and oh my goodness, what's going to happen? It was a calf, then a high ankle sprain, and all these things. He's going to be okay. Their video came out today during warm-ups, and he was moving around very, very well. My guess is if the regular season started today, he would be starting. So I think the new doomsday scenario is he might miss week 1 or 2, but and I think that's enough to kind of bump him down a little bit. Like I had him as my quarterback number 2. I'm going to move him down to kind of QB number 4, just because he might miss 1 or 2 games. But Andrew Luck's going to be fine. So all those people that are out there, with whatever, like. We're going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's just a little nervous because I think a lot of people were burned just 2 years ago with Andrew Luck not playing at all. These lingering things you hear, little lingering things through the offseason. All of a sudden, he's out for the season.
Right.
So, I rightfully so. We'll see.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be just fine. So, other than that, there's lots of kind of big football news, but not a lot with fantasy. I will say this: Derwin James, one of my favorite players to watch, safety for the Chargers, he broke his foot, so he's going to be out till playoffs at best, which just pisses me off. I hate when people get hurt in stupid-ass preseason games.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about all we got. And I will say this. We've got a lot of content coming your way, guys. We are doing a lot behind the scenes right now, making sure we are stepping up our game. So make sure that you stick around, and we're going to be we're trying to amp it up to 5 to 6 episodes a week, and we're just wanting to be your kind of your fantasy people. That's what we are. So just stay tuned because we're cranking them out, man.
Yep. Just to remind you guys. Oh, actually, I don't think I even said it on the podcast. I sent out a text. If you guys want these texts, so you get giveaways early, text ESF to the number 77222. That automatically subscribes. So if we have any contests, I usually hit up the texting service first, so you guys hear it first, and then I also put it on our Facebook private group. Those are the two people that hear things first, but eventually everybody hears it. So the one big thing we're doing now is we're giving away a Juju Smith-Schuster autographed mini helmet.
Oh, it looks awesome.
Dude, it's black with a yellow signature. It's pretty cool. John, tell people how they can win that.
So, I gotta hold on. I don't remember what it was.
You don't know.
I was helping Steve with his thing all day. I'm sorry.
I am definitely not cutting this out because that was perfect. I pitched it, and like you weren't even paying attention to catch the ball.
No, the funny thing is I helped you, like we talked about this, but I'm also helping our DFS and Dynasty. I'm going to take a left turn. I'm also helping our DFS and Dynasty podcast out with a giveaway as well. So here's what's awesome. We've got giveaways on 2 separate podcasts going right now. If you want to autograph football signed by the greatest running back in Bengals history, Jeremy Hill, which I love that giveaway. I want that football so bad just so I can play with it. But DFS and Dynasty, if you haven't subscribed to them yet, please do that, and you can follow them on Twitter at ESFDD. So
hold on. Before we do that,
okay.
Hold on. I this is like the third time I cut you off.
Yep, it's okay.
Because I think it's really important. ESF, DFS, and Dynasty, they're covering all Dynasty aspects, but then in season, the Dynasty talk winds down a little bit, so they do a lot of DFS. But I'm just going to interrupt. I'm going to tell you how to get the Juju Smith-Schuster autographed helmet. I do want to give you a little clip of what to expect on their podcast when they're talking about DFS and Dynasty. I'm going to go ahead and patch you in to a pretty good conversation regarding Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. Right after this clip, I'm going to tell you guys how to win the Juju Smith-Schuster helmet.
Over in Seattle, we've talked about these guys a lot. It just came out this week that Chris Carson, the coaches are there talking about wanting to give him, 50 targets this year. I mean, I guess I'm kind of buying it. I'm actually expecting him to see about roughly around 250 plus touches this year. If he plays 16 games, I can see him getting 250 to 270 as far as touches go. And if he does, I would say he's going to get about 50 targets. Now, what he does with those targets is a different story. That's why I'm glad they said targets, because who knows how many receptions he's going to get out of it. At the same time, I can see Rashad Penny getting about 130 to 150 touches this year as well. So I still firmly believe that these two guys are going to have fantasy relevance this year. And for me as a dynasty owner, if I have Carson, I want Penny on my team as well. Having Penny and trying to get Carson, it's going to cost you a lot more. So, if I have Carson, I want Penny because, again, Carson, he's under contract this year. He's under contract next year. If Penny progresses from what he did at the end of last year, he actually played well, and he averaged over 5 yards a carry. Guy played well, with his opportunities. So again, if it comes up that Carson's contract is up and he moves on to a team in need of running back, well, then you end up with 2 starters there, right? So, and there's going to be a couple years of retooling this passing game in Seattle. We may see a little more efficiency out of Russell Wilson as far as using his legs with rushing touchdowns or maybe more yards on the ground, because the only locked and loaded wide receiver that's there right now is Tyler Lockett, and there is no way that those guys can keep up the efficiency that they had last year.
Yeah, and I'm just looking up the stats now. So we just talked about Mike Davis leaving to go to Chicago.
He had over 100 carries last year.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He had 146. He had 146 touches, so that's what he leaves behind. He had 42 targets and 34 catches. So quietly, Chris Carson put up an RB1 season last year. Mm-hmm. So even if you give all of those 146 touches to Rashad Penny, I still think Chris Carson can give you RB1 value.
Oh, absolutely.
and where you're currently drafting him, I mean, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. But you got to assume that all 146 touches won't go to Penny. So you increase Carson's workload. If he can stay healthy, in a run-heavy offense, I think Chris Carson could be another sneaky RB1 like he was last year, and Penny can be an RB2. I don't see a reason why these both can't be successful.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of volume Penny saw towards the end of last year, but I know he had enough touches in there to where you take that 146 from Davis, right, and you add whatever Penny had last year. That's why I'm really kind of looking at these guys, because I believe Chris Carson had like 210 or 220 carries last year. That's why I firmly believe that the floor for touches on Chris Carson is going to be the 250, and the floor for touches on Rashad Penny is going to be around 130. So I really do see these guys both having significant fantasy value this year.
Yeah, like I said, I'm looking at it right now. Chris Carson had 247 carries and 20 catches. So he had 267
so there's
total
the 270
touches.
Mark right there.
And Penny had 85 rushes and 9 catches, so just shy of 100. If you give him 100 of Penny's Mike Davis's touches, that puts him close to 200. With as explosive as he is, I mean, that's definitely RB2 viable.
Mm-hmm. And again, retooled passing game. Mm-hmm. Nothing really established. No way that Tyler Lockett and Russell Wilson are going to carry that efficiency. So I think this season that offense is going through the backfield, whether it's running or throwing it to them.
All right, good conversation there. Like I said, you go ahead, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you guys listen. Make sure you subscribe to that podcast too. JJ and Steve really know their stuff, so check them out. So, Juju Smith-Schuster autographed helmet. You subscribe to our YouTube channel, Eat Sleep Fantasy. Just look us up, subscribe to it, hit subscribe. Email me a screenshot or whatever. Show me that you subscribed, and we are going to draw some random person to win it. I think that's all you have to do, right, John?
Yep, that's it. Head over there, subscribe, and you can screenshot if you want to, or just comment on any video with your Twitter or email address on there. Just like say, hey, love the video, guys, whatever you say, 5-star garbage, whatever. But put your Twitter handle and or email, however you want us to contact you, and then we'll be doing a drawing to get that out to you. It is freaking awesome. That is I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. What else do we have? I feel like we have a lot of stuff going on our draft kit. Make sure you hit subscribe on our website, eatsleepfantasy.com, and you get rankings and everything for free. But then if you want bonus stuff, we have a lot of articles up there with accompanying MP3, so you can download it and listen to the articles. And then we also have all kinds of adjustments to our rankings, such as tiers. What else do we have? We have the tiers. We have auction rankings, auction values.
It's ridiculous amount of information from offensive line ranks to, everything that you need is there to get you through this. And, Dell and I, we were talking just before this, and I want to put this out there too. I want to see if anybody is interested. If you would like your league to have their own private podcast breaking down your draft, so you guys finish your draft, you're done. We are trying to put together something so email us if you're interested, where we would do a private podcast just for your league. And we break down who had the best draft. We rank all the teams 1 through 12 or whatever, playoff teams, and we're going to talk trash. It's going to be very ruthless, so we're going to piss some of you guys off. But if that's something that you want to do, just email us, eatsleepfantasy@gmail.com, and we will be working with you guys that. So if you want a private podcast, we'll send you the audio files, and you guys can send that to your buddies and all that stuff and talk trash. But that's going to be a lot of fun. Dale, how much is that going to cost? We are spitballing on the air, but I want to do this. It's draft season.
No, look, I feel like I know we have, a bunch of listeners, and I don't want to get a bunch of emails, just kind of like randomly just asking for it. So we have to say something. I'm not sure how much we're going to charge here, guys. I want to make it fair, but we also want to be paid for our time, basically. And I think we're going to have a lot of inquiries.
We're going to have a lot. So it's a busy time.
look, if you guys are interested, we're thinking, if we do a half hour to an hour podcast for your league, John, myself, Christian, Armando, jumping on $100, so maybe like $10 a person for your league, something like that. I think that's kind of fair. Have everybody come together and chip in $10 a piece or something. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I want to do it. This is going to cost us a lot of time and stuff, but I think it's something that I would want done for my league, and that's usually what spurs our new ideas is, man, what do we want for ourselves, and then let's offer that. So just email us, let us know. It's just be like $100. You can just PayPal it to us, whatever, it doesn't matter. And what we'll do is we'll break down everything in your league, and again, it's going to be a lot of fun that you guys can play, and you can cut out audio clips, and you can make like ringtones for it and whatever else. It's going to be a pretty cool thing. So
how about this? Look, okay, we'll do it for $100, right? But if they got our draft kit, whatever they paid for the draft kit, we could take that off of the $100.
All right,
so the draft kit's $20. If you already bought the draft kit, we take $20 off, so it's $80.
I like it.
That's kind of a good deal, right? So maybe we get people to get the draft kit as well.
Boom, boom.
It's like everybody's winning.
I like
it. We should probably not be doing like business meetings over the air, but
I want the people to get what they want. Did I sound like kind of serious?
Yeah, it did.
All right.
For I think that's it. Because I was just going to go in the outro, but maybe you have something else?
Yeah, I do just want to say we're just going to do our last little plug-o here, and that is Nitrogen Sports, who I freaking love these guys. I love gambling, and they are the number one Bitcoin gambling site on the interwebs. And here's what's awesome about them, because the whole Bitcoin thing allows them to do so much more. Because it's a digital currency, it's not governed by any type of government or bank, and you can do whatever you like. You can get to everything. They have casino games, they have dice games, you can bet on cricket, you can literally bet on esports, which is hilarious. Yeah. And so it's very easy to get money in and out. There's no fees for transferring or any of those things, and it's an absolute blast. And as Dale said earlier, here's the deal. They have free prize pools where you can get in and bet nothing and make money off of those. So a lot of stuff there, and if you're a big time spender, they even have like some things where you can bet an entire Bitcoin, which is over $10,000. Yeah. So they've got something for everybody.
Yep. Like John said, I mean, free NFL Survivor Pool. So you join, you play the Survivor Pool, and then if you're good enough and you win, they actually give you money. It's crazy. I mean, why? I don't understand why everybody doesn't just like go on the internet and look for free survival pools everywhere for money, because Nitrogen Sports has it. If you guys go to our website, eatsleepfantasy.com, just click on the banner and it'll just kind of guide you through, set up an account and have some fun with it. All right, John, again, that was an awesome episode. We appreciate it. For those of you who did not get our website, it's eatsleepfantasy.com. You find us on Twitter at EatSleepFF. John is pretty active on his personal handle, probably more active than anybody else on this podcast, at JL_Chapman. And I guess you guys are going to be seeing us 4 to 6 times a week because John is trying to drive this ship. So we will talk to you guys later.
Yeah. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy, you rockin' with the best. NFL Fantasy Football Podcast. We talking mock drafts, running backs, better follow the conversation with
John,
Dale, Christian, and Armando. Screaming Eat Nation, we doing what we like. Tune in every week, guarantee we get it hype. Fantasy, football enthusiasts, I know you plan to be joining us on Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Yeah, Eat, Sleep, Fantasy. Eat, Sleep, Fantasy.